Hi, hello, welcome back to another video. A few weeks back, I've made a video about how I traveled during a pandemic to Iceland, and I've also mentioned that Iceland is a place where I work. I've mentioned that I work at a farm, and I've promised that maybe I'll make a video about what I do here. So let's talk about it. Skip all the b-roll with coffee making. This is a tea anyway, let's be honest. And let's just talk about what is my job here. So I've been working here in Iceland for past few years. I think this is my 5th year now. It's not full 5 years. I always come here for the season basically. So that's from like May, beginning of May to maybe end of September. That's where I help with the sheep at the farm, and I also over the summer work at a hostel. So with the farm, I mostly help out during the lambing season, which is in May. It always depends from farmer to farmer when you want your lambs to start getting born. With this farm, we usually start with the lambing like beginning of May, and by the end of May we are fully done. This farm has a sizable amount of sheep. It also differs from year to year, but let's say that approximately we always have like 150 sheep. And it's always best if the sheep has like 2 lambs. Usually they would have like 1 to 3 lambs. 1 is not optimal, 3 is too much, 2 is like the perfect amount of the lambs. Also, maybe a little disclaimer. I'm not a farmer. Whatever I say, I'm not saying that it's like a supreme truth. There'll be probably a lot of farmers that might disagree with me or something, I don't know. But I just want to share my experience and what I've learned basically over those years. So I come here usually around 1st of May, and that's the complete start, complete beginning, where we are just getting ready for the lambing. So we might prepare the barn a little bit, and get everything ready for it to start. During that time, we have all the sheep in the barn, and I just give them hay and water and stuff like that. When the lambing starts, when the first sheep start having lambs, that's when the real hard work sets in. Because now you have to take care of all the hay and water for all the sheep, but also take care of the sheep that are in labor. So you have to go to the barn all the time. You would go there in the morning at 8 or 7 a.m., then again at 10 a.m., then in the afternoon after a coffee break, and then 8 in the evening, maybe even 10 p.m. And then again I would wake up really early in the morning and go check them maybe at 4 a.m. Because every time you see that the sheep is in labor, you have to take it from the herd and put it in her own place, so that the sheep can give birth to the lambs, and then she can smell them and lick them, and that's how she knows that those lambs are hers. If she doesn't do that immediately after birth, she will reject them basically. That's why you have to make sure every time that she recognizes her own lambs. Maybe I should mention that this is not all on me. I work with this Icelandic grandpa who owns this farm, so every time I go there he goes with me. Sometimes I'm alone and just do my job, but sometimes the grandpa comes in and help me out with like the water or something. So in the beginning it's always pretty much calm and I would say almost easy, but it's farm work, so it's always at least a little bit hard. For example, with this farm, once you put the bales of hay inside of the barn, then you have to handle them by hand. So if the bale of hay is on the side and you have to top it over, you have to take this like a metal hook that you will pierce through the bottom of the bale and just with your own force turn it over. After like 2 weeks, when the lambing is in full force and you're getting lambs all day every day, that's when it starts being really challenging. Because each sheep with their lambs have their own space and they fill up pretty quickly. You have to move them all the time to make more space for more lambs. So far it's been all sunshine and beautiful. Let's talk about why am I really there. So it's not just about giving them hay and water and taking the sheep and putting them somewhere. This is most of the work, but sometimes there's a problem. Usually when I see that the sheep starts giving birth, I would take it to another place where I would keep it for a little bit. Sometimes you can wait up to maybe like an hour and just wait and see if she can give birth on her own. If she can't, that's where you have to help. So you would take the hooves of the little lamps, if you can see them, and just pull it out. Sometimes it goes very easily out, sometimes you have to use a little bit of force, or even push on the top of her butt basically, and feel the head and the horns, because sometimes they already have horns. So you try to push that outside. I have a video of me giving full birth, but I'm not sure if I should show the whole thing. Probably not. Probably shouldn't. I think the description is enough. And then someday, maybe, if people are interested, maybe someday I will publish that video. It's the only video I have, and it's not the prettiest one, so maybe I won't show it today, but I have a video of that. That's the easiest version, I guess. Then sometimes it happens that you just have to take your hand, go inside, and help the sheep give the birth. There are many reasons why that happens. Sometimes the sheep is just too small, or she's too young, it's her first birth or something, she's not experienced, whatever, you know. Sometimes the lamb is just too big. So that's the nasty part, I guess. I would never expected myself to be doing this, to be honest. Like, I'm a normal city boy basically. I grew up in the suburbs, and you know, I was always with my computer and just doing online stuff and just trying to figure out what to do online. And now I'm just working the farm, giving birth to lambs. I would never expect that. If you asked me when I was like 18 or 20, I would probably like just laugh at you. But now I'm doing this and I love it actually. It's really hard work, it's demanding, but there's something about it. Maybe the life, maybe just like taking care of animals, I'm not sure, but it is really rewarding to me, at least. Okay, let's go deeper into the pun unintended. But yeah, let's go deeper into the topic of giving birth, because sometimes if it's really hard, you also can use like a little string, or there's like a plastic rubber band that you can take as well, where you would tie it around the hooves and try to pull that with your strength. So like I said, sometimes it is better if I can get help with this, because doing that on your own is not the easiest task. So it's sometimes better if someone is holding the sheep and you can do it, or if I just hold the sheep and someone more experienced does this. If it's a really big problem, which happened like once, we took the sheep to the vet, and then the vet would help us do the hard work. This doesn't happen often. I would say that maybe 90% of the lambs are born normally with no problem. It also depends year to year, you know. I remember one year that we had like over 200, maybe 220 sheep in the barn. It was just over the limit, you know, like too many sheep, too many lambs. It was a lot of work, but I think that I also got the most experience out of. So the lambs are born, they fall down on the ground, and after like 10 minutes, they're already standing up. It's always amazing to see that, how there's just like a new life being born, and after 10 minutes it's already standing up, and after 15 minutes it's looking for milk. It's just crazy to me. So once the lambs are big enough and they have their number in and you have them on your list, you can start slowly putting them outside. We have this little area that is good for like the transition basically, where you would take them from the barn, put them outside, they can run around in this little area, and then over time you can put them in the bigger area, and then after some more time you can put them outside completely. So that's one of the best ways how to make more space in your barn when you have more lambs on the way. That's what we do like throughout the cycle, where we would, after like a week or two, when the lambs are big enough, you just like start putting them outside as soon as possible, so we have more space for the new lambs. But let's go back a little bit and talk about more problems. Sometimes it happens that if the sheep doesn't smell and lick the lamb, she will reject them. Or sometimes the sheep just dies. I never know why. It can be various reasons, you know. Sometimes it is because of the hard labor. If the lambs are really big and they just lose a lot of blood, it can happen, you know. It's just nature. During the lambing season there's a lot of life, but there is also death, and sometimes you just have to take care of that as well. But what happens with the lambs? With the lambs, we try to take care of them and to give them milk. So even now, it's like beginning of June, I'm still going into the barn and giving some lambs milk. It's like a formula, basically, like for babies, you know, we have like formula. So this is like a formula for animals that you can make with the water. You just mix it, make it warm, and go to the barn. Usually I would make few bottles, some big ones, some small ones, and try to feed the bigger lambs first and then take the small ones separately, especially with the little lambs that are just not as fierce as the big ones that can fight for the bottle. I take the small ones, put them in between my legs so that the front hooves are over my legs, and you can sit down and it's sort of comfortable and you have a lot of control over the feeding part. This is also probably the closest you will be with the sheep, because Icelandic sheep are not friendly or like domesticated that they would come to you necessarily. They are pretty much wild, so when they see you they would run away, and the lambs also, they are very fast. So feeding the lambs is like the closest time I have with the lambs, and since the beginning I knew that I just can't make a connection with those lambs, you know, never give them names, never have the favorites, because if you lose them, it can hurt. I think I've said everything, at least about my work. Of course I didn't say everything about sheep and the farming part. Maybe I can one day make a follow-up video about this, maybe the part where one time I was working as butcher as well. Yes, I did that once as well. So this is the format that I want to keep, me trying to talk about something with the videos and photos being on screen and my commentary on top of that. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe, click the button down there, click the bell button as well, leave a comment if you have any questions, I will answer them for sure, and that's it for me for now. See you next time. Ciao.